I want to welcome Joey Johnston, who covers the USF Bulls for the Tampa Tribune. Thanks for joining and welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
Now, USF is coming off a pretty solid 45-24 win over Syracuse this past weekend. What changed as the offense really seemed to come alive?
Well, you're right. Things definitely did change. This is not something we've seen from USF very often in the last few years, considering they scored 6 offensive touchdowns in one game, and in Willie Taggart's first year, 2013, he scored 13 offensive touchdowns all season. So this was something to behold. The players said that Willie Taggart came to them last week in practice and told them that he wanted to loosen them up, let them play, open up the playbook a little bit, maybe simplify a few things. Long story short, Rodney Adams, one of the receivers, said he didn't feel like he was playing like a robot anymore, which I guess he felt like he was early in the season, having to think too much on some things. So everybody played great. The offense was incredibly productive. And I guess the thing we're going to be watching now is to see if this can take place again against UConn, this type of offense.
Now, looking at the game, it seemed the Bulls were much more up-tempo as compared to previous games. Does that really go back to the loosening it up and opening up the playbook? And do you think that's going to be the trend moving forward, seeing that they did have success this past week?
Yeah, and not just this game. I mean, they've come into this season with that being a point of emphasis. They've gone to more of a spread look. In the previous 2 years under Taggart, it was more of a Jim Harbaugh power game, West Coast offense, throw to the tight end. That was at least what they tried to do. But they are getting guys open in space, trying to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers. They have a quarterback now, Quinton Flowers, a sophomore in his first year as the full-time starter, who is very mobile and who had an excellent passing day against Syracuse. He threw for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. Can really make things happen with his feet. We're very good at when things break down, at improvising and creating something out of nothing. So, yes, they have felt all off-season they wanted to go faster, more up-tempo. The success they did have last year, particularly on the road at Tulsa and SMU, were comeback wins when they did go to the hurry-up offense and they started to move the ball. So I think they were trying to see if perhaps if they did that full-time, maybe the offense would be a lot better. And certainly last week's game is an indication that, yes, they can be a lot better.
Now, you touched on quarterback Quinton Flowers a little bit, who had his best game of the year by far on Saturday. Do you see the staff really shifting towards things that he does well, seeing how it's his second year in the program and they're really now seeing what he can do?
Yeah, I think it's been an evolution for him. He played sparingly last year as a freshman. He did start one game and came into a handful of others, but really had very little playing time to speak of. You can see his progression with each game. This year he's getting a little bit better. The thing I really like about him is he's very confident, very accountable for what he does on the field. He's not an excuse maker by any means. He owns his mistakes, he's honest about them, and he works to correct them. And he has certainly made progress with each game, and last week was the culmination of that, where he played pretty much flawlessly. He's a little bit undersized. He's 6 feet, if that. About 175, 180 pounds, but very, very fast. And he's made a few plays this year that almost look like something that Doug Flutie would have done back in the day, where he's just running around spinning and just creating a touchdown out of thin air. That can be a little reckless sometimes if you don't, you're not careful. That could turn into a turnover or a bad play. But he has, in addition to that, he's pretty much shown the ability to avoid the catastrophic mistake. He's not a turnover machine by any means. He does know when to throw the ball out of bounds or when to make a smart play. So I think for people that knew of him last year, I have to say that everyone would agree that he's way ahead of the pace that anyone would have imagined.
All right. Also on offense is running back Marlin Mack, who's obviously a game changer. How has he progressed entering his second year?
Well, he's the most dynamic player on the team by far, and he was the American Athletic Associate Conference Rookie of the Year last year. Had 1,000 yards and tied the single game school record for rushing. and is off to another good start. He had 184 yards rushing against Syracuse. Interestingly, when they went to Maryland, I don't know if it was a game plan thing or the way the game flowed, but anyway, he only carried the ball 12 times, and Willie Taggart was asked about that, and he said that was a huge mistake. That's not going to happen again. We have to feed Marlin Mack, and they have done that against Memphis and against Syracuse, and he has shown the ability to, if he carries the ball 20 to 25 times, he's going to get 100 yards, and odds are he's going to break one. He's a guy that can run away from people, obviously, but he's almost more impressive in his ability to turn a 3 or 4 yard gain out of nothing. He's got some toughness about him. He can run up the middle, but he's also at his best. He's a guy that can turn the corner, can make people miss, and he really knows how to use his blockers. He's a very intelligent type of runner. And, I don't think it's any stretch of the imagination to say he's going to be the best runner they've ever had when all is said and done. He's just not even midway through his second year.
All right, I'm talking with Joey Johnston of the Tampa Tribune. Joey, on the depth chart this week, it looks like there's been a shakeup in the secondary as Nate Goodwin and Johnny Ward are no longer listed as starters. Just me looking at the game, UConn's really had a successful game this past week through the air. Do you think that's an area that UConn could take advantage of, and what's going on with those two guys?
Actually, I wouldn't put too much gospel in the depth chart. They use a lot of people in the secondary, and they're sort of interchangeable. They come in and out. They are different on defense this year. They go to what they call a 4-2-5. Their defensive coordinator, Tom Allen, was the linebackers coach at Ole Miss last year, and they used that scheme to some success with the Rebels. It's basically adding another defensive back on the field, and the theory behind it is to better cope with the spread offenses that you see so much in the American and really everywhere in the country these days. So all of their secondary guys will play, and I don't know that the starting designation is going to make that much difference. Godwin and Ward will certainly get their time. That being said, that they have given up some passing yardage to Maryland and certainly to Memphis, which a lot of people have done that against Memphis this year. But so they've had some good games and they've had some bad games, and this is going to be a big test to see how they come out of it against UConn.
All right, USF's Willie Taggart finally got his much-needed out-of-conference win against Syracuse. What does that win do for the morale of the program as a whole?
Well, it's been a great week for morale because not only did they won convincingly, and they won in exciting fashion. They ran a flea flicker play for a touchdown. They had a running back that rushed 184 yards, a quarterback threw for 259 and threw a couple of long touchdown passes. So it was not only a good win, it was pleasing to watch. And truth be told, in the last 2.5 years, they really haven't been pleasing to watch most weekends. It's been laborious. So everyone is very excited. They're also asking, where has this been? Where has this kind of game been for 2.5 years? Why haven't we seen it prior? But the bottom line to the whole thing is, how are they going to follow it up? Everybody's going to be watching very closely how they play against UConn. Can they play remotely close to that? And can they not only win, but can they play an exciting brand of football again? So I think the litmus test now for USF is going to be, can they follow up on success? They've not had much success under Taggart. Now they've had this great game. Now what do they do next?
And final question for Joey Johnston. Joey, it always seems like a close game between USF and the Huskies. Who do you like on Saturday here in Connecticut, and what type of game do you think we're going to see?
I think it's going to be a defensive-minded game. I think it's, like you said, it's always very close to the vest between these two teams. It really doesn't matter what the story is when USF and UConn get together. It's going to be tight, and it's going to be decided at the end of the game. UConn has been a very difficult place for USF to play historically, although they did win in 2013. They lost the previous 4 times, and a couple of those times really dashed a very promising USF season. So going to UConn conjures up bad memories for veteran USF fans. I like UConn in a close game, probably decided by a field goal. I was very impressed with the things they've done this year, and certainly their ability to go down to UCF and win ultra convincingly. I think USF is going to play a good game, but I like UConn slightly. I think both teams are on their way up in their building of the program. I think UConn's going to get them, and I think the home field advantage is going to be the bottom line.
All right, thanks, Joey, for joining, and we definitely look forward to catching up with you at the Ren on Saturday.